So, hi there. Here we are in part three with Tom Kersting, and this technique is how to save how to save the next generation. And in part three, here Tom will be sharing what parents can do, tips, techniques, and solutions. So, again, Tom, you have the floor.
All right. So we talked about a lot of the doom and the gloom. It's not all doom and gloom. And I always say, even in the book when I'm lecturing, that technology in and of itself is not a bad thing, right? Um, just like having a glass of wine with dinner is not a bad thing. If you have 9 glasses of wine with dinner every day, that's a bad thing. So, and that's the real issue, is that we're spending 9 hours a day using technology on average, adults and children alike. But it's not the technology itself. It's just that incredible amount of time, just sucking our lives away. This is a good example right now of being able to use this platform for a good purpose. But I do want to get into some things that we can do, to help ourselves and our families and so forth. And they're not that complicated. One thing is that we have to make sure that our kids, that we teach our kids responsibility. Have them help around cleaning up around the house, doing chores. We don't want our kids sitting around playing video games and in their bedrooms on their phones while mom and dad are the ones down here unloading the dishwasher, cleaning the counters, and so forth. Got to teach our kids that they are part of the family. So get them out of the bedroom and get them into the family room, and get them involved in basic household chores. That's critically important. Another thing a bit of advice that I give people all the time is that if you have a kid that does play video games, create a new rule that there are no video games allowed during the school week. And here's why. The argument often is, well, my son's doing okay in school. Why not? What's the big deal if he finishes his homework and plays, Fortnite for a few hours or whatever? What happens oftentimes is that for kids, particularly in middle school, when they're allowed to play video games during the school week, it starts to really get a grip on them, on their mind. And what I mean by that is they'll be sitting in school and all they can think about all day is how they can't wait to get home and play Fortnite, which now serves as a distraction. And then when they do get home, what I've seen is that a lot of kids now whip through their homework and study very minimally, just so they can get to that video game device. So it's affecting them academically. So it's a good idea if they don't have access to that during the school week, then they're not going to be thinking about it in the classroom, and it's not going to prevent them from doing their best academically. So think about that, keep that in mind. And another thing is the phone should never be in your kid's bedroom, especially at night when they're going to sleep. Every high school kid I've spoken to, and I did it right before I retired for 2 years, I had asked a couple of hundred kids at the high school level, what time do you go to bed at night? And 9 out of 10, and I'm not exaggerating, told me to go to bed between 1 and 4 a.m.
Oh my.
And their parents don't know about it.
No
Yeah,
kidding.
not exaggerating.
Wow.
So that phone is just a weapon of mass distraction in their bedrooms, particularly when they're going to sleep at night. So get that thing out of there. They might not like it. You're in charge. You're the boss. They're not. If you do happen to get your kid a phone, which I wouldn't recommend until late adolescence, but not a lot of people are going to listen to that. Give them a phone contract, and I have that on my website, tomkersting.com, where it's an actual contract that they sign, stating that the phone isn't your phone, it's mine. I'm the parent. I bought it for you. I don't know how the phones became kids' phones to begin with, because we pay for them. It's just like the car. All of a sudden, a kid get his license, and now your car's theirs, and they can take your car whenever they want. So that contract will help, and it stipulates if you break it, you're responsible for fixing it. If it falls in the toilet, your responsibility. If you break any rules, here are the consequences, and see that through. But a better strategy than getting a kid a smartphone is getting him something called a dumb phone. All right, a dumb phone is a company called the Gabb Wireless, Gabb. And they created this phone that looks exactly like an iPhone, but it doesn't do anything that an iPhone does. So
I love that.
It's basically a flip phone disguised as a smartphone.
So
for younger kids, second, third grade, you get them one of those, fourth grade, fifth grade, that's perfect. So they can make phone calls, they could text you and their friends, and that's about it. They could take photos, but it stays on the phone. And it's great. And that phone right now, that company actually reached out to me because somebody read my book there, and I've been in contact with them, and they gave me a promo code for anybody that decides to buy one of these. And I'm a big fan of them. And the promo code is, if you go to their website, it's Smart Parent. So that phone is $99. And if you use that promo code, they take $10 off, Smart Parent.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. I did want to mention as well that in the comments section, we're going to be sharing a lot of links for
Mhm.
additional information, reference sources that Tom will be sharing some with me too, and including how to reach you. We'll be good with that. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. And then another, some other solutions here is, like I mentioned earlier, if you're driving your kid to school and practice and so forth, make a rule that there's no phone in the car when your kids are sitting next to you. You should be talking to your kids. Even the 5-minute car rides that let that little nuanced conversation adds up over the course of a year, big time. And
Amen.
big time.
Yes.
The dinner table and the cars, we don't think are important, but that time of communication every day is so critical for our kids' development, believe it or not.
Right.
Socially, emotionally, morally, everything.
And as you
So
know, using a cell phone inside a car is that much more bouncing
yeah,
against the metal. Not
yeah,
good.
yeah. And at the dinner table too, like if you you do you try to have dinner with your family and so forth, whether it's at a restaurant or at home, no phones around the dinner table. Sit and talk to one another. That's what we need. That's what our kids need. Um, and I talked about the during the school week. And another really important thing too is when kids are doing homework, the phone shouldn't be near them. And teenagers are going to tell their parents, "Oh, I need my phone, to do my homework because I have to correspond with, my friends and so forth to talk about their assignments." Most of the time, that's a lie. They just want that phone next to them. I've had parents when I'm doing lecture, say to me, "Why does my kid get 4 hours of homework a night? This is ridiculous." And I'll say they don't get 4 hours of homework a night. It's taking them 4 hours to do their homework because every 10 seconds they're getting interrupted by uh, by some sort of an alert, or they're getting sucked into YouTube, and they don't realize that they just spent an
Wow.
hour on
I'm,
YouTube.
oh, thank you for bringing that up because I have heard that from
Oh
several
yeah.
sources. Our kids, now that they're remote learning, they've got all this homework that they never had before. I thought, oh,
Oh, I never
really?
thought about that. They probably don't have any more homework than they ever had. It's just that because they're on the
Ah,
screen, they want even more of it. Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So those little things. I mean, they're not that complicated. Get your kids involved in whatever you can, hobbies and sports. Sit around and play games with them if you want to. Very important just to connect with our own kids. But probably the most important thing, the final section of my book, I talk about mindfulness. Now, when I am at lectures, when I'm speaking, I usually speak to parents, but I often they'll ask me to speak to the kids too. So sometimes the school will say, "Can you speak to the kids during the day?" And I say, "Of course." So when I'm doing a lecture and I start talking about, the part I'm about to share, excuse me, I will. There'll be it's in a gymnasium, let's say, and I'll find a kid in the front row and I'll say, "Okay." I'll go up to him and say, "Who are you?" And that child, that kid will say, "Well, what do you mean?" And I'll say, "Well, who are you?" And the response is, "Well, I'm Stephen Canizero, or I'm John Smith," right? Which is what I know is the response is going to be, and always is. They always tell me what their name is. I'll say, "Okay, hey, John." And I go to the next kid, "Who are you?" And I'll say, "Well, I'm Paul Jones or Paul Smith, or whatever." "Oh, hey, Paul." And then I'll say to one of those kids, I'll say, "Now ask me who I am." And I'll say, "Who are you?" And I'll say, "I am a determined, happy, loving, caring, motivated, powerful, spiritual being." All right. And that's not me just saying and then I'll go on to tell them that's what all of us are, not just me. That's what we all are. All right. But you can't know who you are if you never go to you. And what I mean by that is if we are distracted every second of our day, we're actually distracting ourselves from ourself, the deeper part of us. So to really understand who one truly is requires repose, requires sitting in silence on a
Yes.
daily basis and closing your eyes and breathing and understanding what's going on within us. Because I always tell people that what we believe is our reality, everything out here, is the tip of the iceberg, and the rest of it is within us, deep within us. And you can't understand what that even means unless you go there. And
It
the
is so
problem is that our
good.
kids have never been there.
I thank you for mentioning that. And speaking of fear, do you think there's a certain element of fear for those of us who we have to keep ourselves so distracted because are afraid what we're going to find deep within? That if
Oh yeah.
there might be some big boogeymen in there that we don't really want to come contact with, you know?
And that's what I tell people. That, now a lot of my clients, they'll say, "What's the difference between loneliness and aloneness?"
Ah,
You
good
know,
one.
and
Yeah.
it's the same thing. You're by yourself. Loneliness is a void. There's something missing, and you need something on the outside to fill you up. Aloneness is abundant and powerful because it's coming from within. And happiness, there's a saying: happiness is never an outside in thing, and always an inside out thing. So there's nothing out here that's going to fill us up and make us feel happy. It has to
It's a
come from within.
choice.
Instead, we're filling ourselves up with external negatives all day long, and we don't even know we're doing it.
Mm-hmm. So true. So true. It's
I go into
absolutely a
in
choice.
that section. Yeah, I give some. I talk about mindfulness and give some little meditation techniques that people could start with to start to really, understand the meaning of that. Like
Yes.
I said earlier, like I am not, I don't have any fears or anything like that. Everything that I talk about, I do on a daily basis,
Mm-hmm.
and every day. And it's for me, it's prayer, it's spirituality. Call it whatever you want, but there's something deeper within us that most people don't know, and I know it exists, and so do millions of other people.
Absolutely, and I'm not religious. I'm very spiritual, and I like to feel that I live in a state of continual gratitudinals. I'm always being thank you, thank you, thank you, everything, thank you, and
Attitude of gratitude.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you for letting me wake up on the right side of the dirt this morning.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
really
yeah,
good. It's a good
exactly.
thing. Everything's going to be uphill from here.
I
So
like that. The right side of the dirt. I never heard that one
I
before. I
love
like.
that. I love that too. And I did want to make a quick mention, since you're doing all this wonderful things about what we can do to improve situations to help lower the exposure within our homes. I think probably one of the most important things, I bet you would agree, is turn off, if you have a Wi-Fi router, turn it
Mhm.
off at night
Right.
when you're having your restorative sleep. That's the only thing in our house that is not wired. We have it down in the basement, inside a closet. I did a little video taking a measurement with my acoustimeter with it off, where the light is green. Then turn it on, it goes right up and pings to the top and
Oh
stays
yeah.
there. It is terrible. And if you're anywhere close to where you're sleeping with a router, get it out of there as far away as you can from bedrooms, if at all possible. And if not, look into the Faraday cages, put it on a router. Ours goes off at 10, comes back on at 6 a.m. It can suit whatever you need it to. But, and we noticed immediately when we realized that that was a good thing to do, we immediately started sleeping deeper, and REM sleep returned once again.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's wonderful. So,
That's yeah. I've read a lot about that. That's like yeah. It's exactly what I tell people all the time. Turn the router off at night.
right. Yeah, absolutely. Even the router looks like a devil with the horns,
Yeah, I
those
know. I
antennas.
know. It
It really
really does.
does. So I have a short video on my channel Zips Media where I measured the router as well as the microwave oven. We never use the microwave oven for anything anymore. I used to use it to clean sponges to sterilize them, but I don't even use it anymore because of that. But it's not good to
Hmm.
use that. But any other tips you'd like to share, Tom, before we
Yeah.
um,
Well, like the real, if the one important one that I forgot is practice what you preach. If you're
yes.
a parent and you're getting on your kids about spending too much time on their phones and everything else, we got parents. We when we're around our kids, we got to do the same thing. We got to remove ourselves and be in the presence of our children. That is more important than anything for them.
Absolutely. They grow up so fast. They're such precious beings. They are our future. And it's what's driving me to do this. And yeah, and you too, I'm sure. And they just deserve to have a more pure existence. One thing that I'll share, a little meme that I have, and it's something to the effect that children these days are more familiar with corporate logos than they are with indigenous plants and animals in their area. How sad is that? That's quite the, yeah.
And to bounce off of that, I read something recently where they did I guess like a national survey on careers. So they, I guess they, sent this survey out to thousands and thousands of kids, just to see where, what the direction our, world is heading in terms of vocation. And in terms of, desire, what you want to be, YouTube star or social media star was higher up than doctor or astronaut.
Well,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's just, yeah. But You know, I and thank you for your book. Again, I'd like to mention that those of you who think, well, I don't need to get his book. He already shared so much in the videos, and he did. But I will tell you that since I am reading the book, he's merely scratching the surface. It is so rich in content. I can't recommend it enough. I'm already not looking forward to finishing it because I'm going to miss it, and but it's so rich, and I just highly recommend it, and we'll have links below on how you can order it right away, as well as about the Gabb telephone you mentioned. And in a webinar I listened to of yours, you mentioned something I thought was wonderful. I think it's called netnanny, a way
Yeah.
where parents can kind of monitor their children's activity online. Is that
Mhm.
something you might want to mention a little bit? We can include a link to that
Yeah,
below.
yeah. So a lot of parents, particularly younger kids that have smartphones, uh, there have been parenting apps that were out there. And what Apple did, I think 2 years ago when it came out, there like Apple 10 or whatever it was, they put in parental what do you call it? I'm thinking
Filters
yeah,
or
yeah, stuff for
guideline.
yeah, stuff to for parents. And the reason why they did that wasn't because they wanted to help people. It's because their shareholders told them they got to do something. People are starting to catch on here that there's a problem with all this phone.
Really? I did not know
Yeah,
that.
yeah, they did.
Wow.
So at the time, there were a lot of really good parenting apps that were out
Hmm.
that you can get on the Apple Store. Really, really good ones.
Right?
You load onto your phone, and it would do a lot of really good things for to protect kids. And as soon as Apple came out with their new parenting guidelines to make themselves look like they were doing the right thing,
They really
now
cared.
they removed all those other apps from their store. Ones that do a much better job than what their stuff does.
Those sly devils.
Yeah, and that's because they don't want, obviously they don't want people to not be using their products. They want people on that phone as long as possible. But one that hung around because it used a different type of technology and kind of got grandfathered in is NetNanny. So that's if you want a good app, for you to basically what that app will do. NetNanny, you get it on your phone and then your child's phone, and certain keywords that are automatically built in there, such as pornography
Uh-huh.
or murder or death, like real hard words. And if your child,
Suicide.
yeah,
Mhm.
that stuff, there, when you have that on there, there's no site that even has one of those words on it that you can get to. Like it blocks your kid from being able to get to any site, even if
Right?
it's, you know what I'm saying? And then there's also pop-up alerts that you'll get. So you can see wherever your children, any website that they go to, you get a pop-up alert on your phone telling you where you went. And you can put, time limits so that if you tell your kid, all right, you get 2 hours a day on the phone, that's it. As soon as they hit 2 hours, their phone locks, things like that. So it's really pretty cool. Net
I like
nanny.
that. I like that. Definitely going to mention that as well. And, Tom, I can't thank you enough for all your sharing. Do you have any final thoughts you'd like to? And thank you for helping us talk about ways that we literally can save this next generation. And, they're worth saving. And it might seem like it's
Yeah.
all
Well,
is
I think, yeah, I'll
lost,
leave
but
the final thought is this, all this stuff seems great and there are some really good, things about technology and so forth, but the tech industry, the big tech, the Twitter, the Facebook, Google, and all them are controlling your life and our entire country right now. They have more power than the president of the United States has in our country right now. So think about that. And if you don't want to believe it, you want to be in denial, I don't know what to tell you. Then go educate yourself.
absolutely, absolutely. And their profit margin is off the charts. Their lobbying dollars is just, they have
Mhm.
endlessly deep pockets.
Yep.
Industry does. And yeah, you're so right about that. So, Tom, would you like to share how folks might reach you, learn more about your work, that we can include the link below?
Yeah, you can go to my website, which is just tomkersting.com. The book here, I'll show you the picture of it again. That's anywhere. You can get that book anywhere. If you like to go on Amazon, you can get it there, Barnes and Noble. What it was supposed when it came out in August it was supposed to be in all the bookstores, but the bookstores haven't been open and they haven't been taken in inventory. So
There you
um,
go.
yeah, but it's available. Tell people that it's very important, and it's a book. You look at the reviews. The number one thing that people say is every parent needs to read this book. So that's where you can find me. Like, I don't do too much, honestly, Twittering or Facebooking or any of that stuff. I just don't really have any interest in it. I'm told you really should. You're gonna get your message out. I don't care. I mean, I care about getting a message, but I just don't have the time to be doing that stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm
If
the same
God
way.
wants this book to happen, which it already did, the first edition really took off. I'll do my TV appearances like I always do, and hopefully get another big hit on TV, and then bang, that's a good way of spreading the message.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Tom, thank you again. You really honored me with the time, sharing your expertise and experience with everyone. I'm going to do my best to help share those messages. And thank you so very much for
All
your
right,
time and all you are and do. You
all
take
right.
care. Say
Thank
hi to
you.
your family.
Will take care.